This is an intro to quadratic function word problems. This is a sample word problem from an old exam. It's a big one, and there are a lot of word problems that are this style. So I'll take you through this one and how to solve it. This says a parabolic flight trajectory is used to create a reduced gravity environment in certain commercial airplanes. This morning, Fred accompanied a group of clients who wanted to experience this type of flight. A second-degree polynomial function, that just means a quadratic, this is a parabola, that's all it means, represents the altitude of the plane in relation to the time elapsed. Often this will be written in fancy words, but it's telling you that the function represents the y coordinate in relation to the x coordinate. It's just telling you that altitude is the y and that time elapsed is the x. The function is represented below. You'll also see that in most exam problems, they'll tell you something like this, that x represents the time in seconds, blah, 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 and that f of x, or the y, represents whatever it is, in this case, the altitude of the plane. Okay. The actual question is, it says, during the plane's descent, an indicator light came on when the plane reached an altitude of this height. The light stayed on for 3 seconds. The question is, what is the height here? What was the plane's altitude when the light went off? So most problems will be quadratic problems where you don't yet have the rule of the function and you have to find it. And that's a skill that we've done. It usually involves either finding the rule in zeros form or in standard form, depending on what information you have. And in this case, we happen to have 2 points that have the same y value. That is a very important piece of information. Whenever you have that, we know that the h is halfway between the 2 x's, where the y was the same because of symmetry. It means that we know that our h value is at 10, and we were told that the maximum altitude is 8,500. That has to be the k. So I can plug in my h and my k right away, and to solve for an a value, we know that we just have to plug in a point. In this problem, we had 2 points where we knew both the x and the y. There was 0, 7,500 or 20, 7,500. It doesn't matter which one you plug in, they'd work the same. I plugged in 0 and 7,500. And to solve for a, I have to isolate a. That means bringing this 8,500 to the other side. It means simplifying and squaring what's in the brackets. That's negative 10 squared versus 100. And then to isolate the a, I find out that a is negative 10, which means that that's my rule. The problem said that the indicator light came on at a height of 8,250 meters. So this is another skill that we've gone through outside of the context of word problems. If you're given a y value, which was our height, you should be able to solve for the x. And I will. I'll isolate the bracket and I'll take the square root. It means subtracting 8,500 from both sides, dividing both sides by negative 10, taking the square root. Remember that when I take the square root, it works out to be a plus and minus. There are 2 possible answers. And when I solve for x, there are 2 possible answers, 5 and 15. So I have plugged in 8,250 as a height, and solving the algebra pumped out 2 answers, 5 and 15. What does that mean? Well, it means that at a height of 8,250, which is this height here, there are 2 different places. There's this one, and there's also this one. There are 2 different points on this parabola that have a height of 8,250. I know that because this is happening on the way down, it's the second one, the farther one of the 2. And in a problem, you'll often have to interpret which one is the correct one. So in this case, we're dealing with this one, which was 15. And go way back for a sec. And the problem said that after this happens, this was 15, that the light then stays on for 3 seconds. So 3 seconds after that 15 brings us to 18 seconds. And the question was, what is the altitude there? So back in my rule, I can now plug in 18, 3 seconds past 15. And solving for a y when you have an x is also a skill that we have used and learned. 18 minus 10 is 8, square root of 64, and when I simplify, I get 7,860 meters, and that is the final answer. Probably because it's a word problem, you should write out a sentence. On the exam, they'll give you the space to do that, and that is it.